Welcome back, Life Sciences. That break is always so necessary. We need to get all the body parts going. We need to get the blood flowing. We need to get the oxygen going because this section, we definitely need it. Okay, so what are we looking at? We're revising human evolution. And we're looking at this concept, right? When we look at evolution, we're looking at what caused this divergence. What caused this change to occur? And in our last session, we looked at this whole concept of similarities that we share, but the differences. And this bipedalism, right? Bipedalism, being able to walk upright, brought in a whole dimension, right, when it comes to human evolution. The hominins, right? Bipedalism was kind of like that whole speciation event, right, that brought in the whole hominins, living, all right, us and our living ancestors. Now, when we're looking at the bipedalism, very much as in the last session, we need to look at, right, the skeleton was so important, the differences, because bipedalism brought in this whole difference, right? This trends, the cranium getting bigger, right? The teeth smaller. Why? The food, right? What happened to our fingers? Our fingers are getting a little bit longer, but they can grasp. Our feet, right? Changing for walking, not gripping, right? And the whole skeleton undergoes a slight change. It's a tweak, right? We don't go kind of like from, right, a skeleton into a unicorn. Right, we just kind of make all these little changes along the way. Now, the next section that we have to look at, you need to, right, be able to give examples, right, of fossils that we have seen along the way, a little bit of their characteristics, but not too much of that. Right? What I would suggest you do as a study method is to actually make a table to, like, make a little mind map that makes it best. So let's have a look what we mean by that. All right, guys, this picture in front of me is a version that you need to become quite familiar with. Now, when we're looking at the evolution, very often when you look at evolution, I think Charles Darwin would have also said it, it's about this tree of life. And here, this is the reason why I've given this diagram. What is a tree about? A tree has a tree trunk that the whole tree has in common. And then what happens to the tree trunk? All these branches branch off of it. All right, you see, this branch might not have anything to do with that branch, yet it's all part of this tree. They all play a role, right? They all play a role, but they might have different roles. Now, what we're looking at when we look at hominin evolution, remember that's what we're looking at. Hominins, us and our living ancestors, there were different phases that they went through. We see different kinds of, now look here, we find different kinds of genuses. Because remember, we like to classify things and put things into perspective. Now, when we look at this tree, you're going to notice what happens is that some parts of the tree is just going to stop. And what do we mean by that happening? That means that that particular species is no longer around. And if we look at this tree, the only one, right, out of the hominin evolution that is around today is us, the Homo sapiens. Okay, so guys, what are we looking at when we look at the major phases? You don't need to learn everything off by heart here. Oh, what is this and what is this? But you do have to understand the basic concept. So what we have here is we have, remember, our common ancestors. These guys are always going to be, right, your early hominins. And you'll notice they kind of like don't go anywhere because they don't play a direct role as to where the humans come in. So what we find over here are these different genuses, and the ones that we pay, right, a lot more attention to are these over here. And it's a word that I sometimes myself, right, get confused with. and those are the Australopithecus. Now, basically, if you were put them onto a scale, you would have gorilla as your most primitive and human, right, as your most complex. And these guys kind of fit somewhere in between. Right? When it comes to evolution, the one thing we must really understand is that it's not a direct link, right? We're lucky if we see a direct link. It's these branches that just occur. And if you look at the timeline, a lot of the species were actually alive at the same time, right? Different of these ancestors of the hominids. Okay, so you guys need to, all right, the ones that you need to be aware of is the Australopithecus afarensis. You need to know examples, Australopithecus africanus, all right, and Australopithecus sediba, these ones. And the reason why we usually need to know them, because guess what, guys? Most of these have been found in, so these fossils were found in South Africa, here in the cradle of humankind. Right, so these guys were our kind of like more ape-like characteristics, but we did start to see bipedalism. We see that in their skulls and their structures, right, and they form part of that group. The next group that we look at are the homos, all right? Homo means the same as, homo also means intelligent. It's the same thing as an orange could be a fruit and an orange could be a color. And the homos that you need to be aware of here are Homo habilis, because this guy, all right, was one of the first found, and he was also the first tool maker. You often are going to, all right, hear about the Homo neanderthalis, the Neanderthals, Homo erectus. Those are going to come about when we look at the out of Africa hypothesis. And the Homo naledi, again, they were found in those beautiful rising star caves there at the Malapa caves. So South Africa has a really good, all right, connection over here. As I said, you need to be able to know these guys, given examples, maybe who the archaeologist was or the anthropologist, or all right, that founded it, where was it found. So there is a little bit of theory learning that you need to have there, but usually they're going to spell it for you, so you don't always have to learn the spelling. Okay, so guys, very often what's the kind of question they're going to be asked here? They're going to give you a chart, they're going to give you, all right, these kind of diagrams, and you're going to have to, all right, be able to read from it. The table shows the evolution of cranial capacity. Remember what I said? Cranial capacity, the cranium that houses the brain. We never speak about the brain. We speak about the skeleton. Okay, so guys, here we've got a few species, right, that it's telling us, it's giving us a year, and it's telling us the size of the cranial capacity. Remember, the larger the cranial capacity, the larger the brain. Okay, so first question. Name two hominid genre. That's another word for the genus. Now, if we have a look at hominid, right, the hominid basically began, if you guys want to look at it, at the Australopithecus and the Homos. So the two hominid, all right, genre over here, over there, that is the genus, and that is the genus over there. Okay. So I'm going to say Homo, and I'm just going to write A because it's a lot to write, and there you've got that. Those are the two. And you're wondering about this one, and are we going to come back to it just now? Okay, I want you to have a look at the time period. Doesn't fit into when the speciation. Now, two fossils of Australopithecus africanus. Now, guys, you're going to have to remember over here, there are Africanus and there are Afarensis. Now, the Africanus ones, there are three that you could choose from. As I said, and they were all found here in South Africa. They are the Taung child. Okay, they are Littlefoot. All right, those are the two that were found here in South Africa. There's also Lucy, but she was unfortunately found up in Ethiopia, so you cannot use her as an example. So this is your study part. Okay, question number C, the genus that first appeared on Earth. Right, now it's the only one that has a genus. Remember, how do I know it's a genus? Because it always has a capital letter. How do I know it first appeared? Because it tells me, all right, that it was 7, all right, to 6 million years ago. So I'm going to write it here, short, long word, Sahelanthropus. All right, so guys, you see, you won't have to learn these things. I'll give you the table and you'll need to give us the information. Which hominid has the cranial capacity closest to that of Homo sapiens? So we have a look. Here's the Homo sapiens, 1450. We simply mean which one is right slightly smaller than ours, because we've got the biggest, and it asks you for the hominid, and your answer will then be, all right, this one, Homo neanderthalensis. Not Neanderthal, Neanderthal. Funny enough, we call it a tall, right, not a thal. Don't know, all English language out the window there. So guys, there we go. This has got, now have a look here. Homo sapiens, closest to the Homo sapiens. Did you notice over here, they've got bigger brains than ours, right? They actually were much bigger. But when it came to intelligence, funny enough, not so much. Okay, give the smallest cranial capacity, right? And it does tell you of a Homo species. So we look, those are out. So we look at these, and the smallest is going to be the Homo habilis, and the answer then is going to be now 650, right? And they asked you for the cubic centimeters. So there's your answer. Nice answer over there. Right, then another question. When did Australopithecus africanus become extinct? So extinct is when their species kind of died out. Now this is sometimes a bit of a difficult one to read. All right, so we're looking at this set of information. So guys, you can't tell me, all right, this is period of existence. This is 3 to 2 million years ago. So you can't tell me that they, all right, became extinct 3 million years ago. They were still here 2 million. You look at the last one, right, and we go 2, and you can write out million years ago, but you can also do that. Okay, guys, I'm afraid that's all we have time for. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll be right back.